NBA report. We got a full docket today. Okay, we got to go through some. We got to talk about the Paris game. We got to talk about the Mavs versus the Knicks. We got to talk about the blowout losses around the league, and then we got some midseason questions. And who better to help me answer all these questions than my guy Andrew Salop, the 1-2 combo, back at it again. Make sure to lock in, stay tuned, hit that thumbs up button for your boys. Make sure to share the links to all these videos. Make sure to support our sponsor, Prize Picks. Use that promo code NBAR to get up to a $100 match. Andrew, my man, how you feeling today?
How about them Bucks?
Oh my God, here we go. The Bucks, the Celtics. I knew as soon as I was like scoreboard watching as I was getting ready for the next Mavs game, and I was like, if this guy doesn't ask me some sort of question about the Bucks beating the brakes off the Celtics, and then to find out that the starters got rested in the second half, I was like, woo.
I never do the thing on X. They call it X now, where like it's like a direct message, but not a direct message. It's just like the at first.
Yeah.
I rarely do that, but I had to do it with you. You know, how about them Bucks?
I still don't believe, Andrew. I still don't believe as my response.
Okay.
I don't believe. But hey, we're gonna talk about those losses in a bit. But let's start off with this Paris game first, man, because you know, this is the league getting back into it, having international games. You know, the last one they did was in Mexico, which was back in 2019. They go out to Paris. We know it's for we got Victor Wembanyama in the league. We have the Paris Olympics coming up. So what better way to get the league back involved than going out to Paris? So you have the Cleveland Cavaliers defeating the Brooklyn Nets, which is strange. Like, you would think that they wanted to have Victor Wembanyama out here if they're going to go back to Paris, but hey, it is what it is. But you have the Cavs beating the Nets. Mitchell scoring over 40 points again. This is his 16th 40-point game in just the last two seasons. What'd you think about this game, Andrew?
Well, I like the idea of it because not only we're gearing towards the Olympics in Paris, right? But also, it's kind of like the in-season tournament thing where it's obviously not a regular season game, and it gives everybody a little extra motivation. And we see that Donovan Mitchell had that extra motivation this game, 44 points, just incredible. And I think this allows the league to get to that place where eventually they will have teams in Europe. I see it happening, man. And I think this is just the beginning stages of that. The real beginning stages of that was the 1992 Olympics. But I think we're going more and more to having actual NBA teams in Europe.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised about it. I mean, we even hear about a potential expansion team in Mexico City, right? And that's just Adam Silver's mindset, is to make this more of an international game, make it worldwide. I mean, we have the league over in Africa as well. So I agree with you, where it's just Silver trying to make this more of an international game more than anything else. And it's already become an international game, right? You mean, we look at the top MVP caliber candidates for the season. It's Giannis Antetokounmpo, Joel Embiid. You got Nikola Jokic, Luka Doncic. They're all up there. Those are all MVP caliber candidates. They're all from another country. And you can even add Shai Gilgeous-Alexander from Canada as well, right? So all these guys are international. The game is becoming more international. And this is just a good way to get more exposure for the league. When I watch this game, though, and I'm watching the Cavs, they are hanging on by a thread thanks to Donovan Mitchell, man. That's all I could think of when I watch this game. I mean, 45 points yesterday, absolutely insane. And sure, you get Karis LeVert with 21 points that he poured in as well, and you had Jarrett Allen with 12 points and 12 rebounds, solid double-double. This Cavs team needs to get Garland and Mobley back to really get back into the full swing of things, because right now they are, if I'm checking the standings right, I believe that they are 4th or 5th right now in the NBA. They are 5th. They are 5th in the Eastern Conference right now, 22-15, hanging on by a thread, in my opinion, because you need a lot of these Donovan Mitchell type performances. And what are your thoughts about the Cavs?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's why these Donovan Mitchell trade rumors are bubbling up, because they have absolutely no chance. It feels like this year, with all the injuries and the defensive issues that they had in the playoffs last season. You saw when your New York Knicks played against them. It's just a struggle when your defense has two smaller guards and then there's no really wing depth, right? So they always had their issues, but with all those injuries, it feels like they should go back into a soft rebuild and kind of build around Darius Garland, and hopefully Mobley becomes better offensively so they could build around those two guys in the right way. And I don't think Donovan Mitchell is quite that for them. I think he's a way better fit on other teams, and not he's not even on their timeline age-wise. I think the timeline's a little bit younger, so I'd like to see the Cavs move off of Donovan Mitchell and trade him to a contender where he could really show his stuff in the playoffs, because it doesn't look like they're going to do anything in the playoffs this season.
Yeah, I mean, this team, it's like I said, man, they're hanging on by a thread. You just had Ricky Rubio, who, just retired from the game, which was a little bit of a surprise. I thought, in
I
my
think he
opinion.
just doesn't want to play in America anymore. I think he
Yeah.
just wants to go home. That's what it feels like.
Yeah, that's what I get from it too. And now you talk about lack of point guard depth, because right behind Donovan Mitchell, who's they're starting point guard for this team, it's Craig Porter. So, like
Yeah.
I said, you need a lot from this team to keep going on. And I guess we could touch quickly on the Brooklyn Nets. Man, talk about a team that I don't know how you solve what they have, because it's Cam Johnson, Bridges, and Nick Claxton. That's about it. I don't know how you really rebuild that team moving forward. I know they got draft picks, but this is a team that really has to look through the draft if they're really going to build around Bridges.
Maybe these two teams make a trade.
What's the trade that you're thinking?
Well, Donovan Mitchell, I think, would be nice on this Nets team. I don't know, and it feels like the Nets have a lot of wing depth. Feels like they have a bunch of versatile guys that could run up and down. Some of them could shoot threes. And that's the position. Okoro, his shooting is such a key when it comes to the Cavs. Like, if he could really shoot the ball, I mean, he'd be a perfect fit on this team. But the offensive struggles are still apparent for him. So maybe you could bring in some of the Nets' depth in to the Cavs locker room and then ship out Donovan Mitchell.
Who
So
are you?
go ahead.
Who are you trading though from the Nets to, like? So if you're the Cavs and you're going to move a Coral just to bring in somebody, who are you moving? Because if you got to match salary, he's making 8.9 million. So anybody that's close to it would be like a Dorian Finney-Smith, a Nick Claxton, Royce O'Neal. You know, if you want Cam Thomas on the Cavs, you would have to give up more, and he would fit that timeline with, Garland, Mobley, but I don't see the Nets want to move off Cam Thomas anytime soon. So wait, this is
Yeah.
where I look at the Nets, and I'm like, they have a lot of picks. They got 15 picks in total, a lot of first rounders. If they want to really add some depth, yeah, you could trade a lot of those picks, but I would think that you'd have to get rid of Cam Johnson in the process if you're getting anyone in return. Or is there somebody else on the Nets that you're thinking that they can move?
Well, I don't even like the fit with Cam Thomas for the Nets, because I think they need more versatility around Darius Garland. Like, Cam Thomas is just a straight scorer,
Mm-hmm.
and his weaknesses aren't good enough yet to allow, I feel like, a GM to think that he's going to be a winning player on a winning team. Now, he's one of the most dynamic scorers in the NBA, and that sounds crazy with all the star talent, but that guy could really score the basketball at a high level. But I think he does have a lot of improvement areas to be a key piece to a winning team. And I think at this point, you want to bring in some winning players. I think Lonnie Walker could be a nice piece for the Cavs.
Mm.
I like Lonnie Walker. Who else? Cam Johnson, but that's one person I don't think the Nets would move off of, but that would be a nice fit, you know?
It's him
He's
and Bridges for that Nets team.
Bridges. I mean, Bridges is untouchable, I think, at this point, right?
He is, but and you see he's struggling just because he's being thrust into that 1A role for this Nets team, and he hasn't had to do that. And you
Mm-hmm.
see that's why his numbers are like up, like I've been a little up and down over the last few games. And that's just going to take a lot more work, because he's the guy that everyone focuses in on. And outside of Dinwiddie, who can control the rock, yeah, you got Cam Thomas, who can control the rock and just score, and it can be that microwave score off your bench. There's not really anybody else on this Nets team that I say, you know what, this is how we can fully build around Bridges. And he's 27 years old. So I don't even know how you can start building around a guy that's 27 and you got to go through the draft. It just kind of feels like they shouldn't really make Bridges untouchable. They should actually move Bridges and really reset this thing even further to start building around somebody else, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's not going to be Ben Simmons, probably.
No, who wants Ben Simmons, man? Come on now. That's
You know what this Nets, how I feel about this Nets team, and it's the same argument you could make for the Lakers. Like on some days, it feels like if you look at the roster, they have a lot of depth, and then you look at the roster on other days, just depends on how you feel. Like this team has no depth because sometimes you just like look at the names on paper, like Spencer Dinwiddie, Bridges, Cam Johnson, Nick Claxton, an improving player. You know, Lonnie Walker, solid, like plays really well when I watch him with the Nets. But then like just how talented this league is, it's not enough when we see teams like the Timberwolves and OKC and some of these teams with like elite depth. Like it feels like depth on paper, but then when you really look at around the league, it's not that much depth.
It's not. And that's why they're 16 and 22. And Nick Claxton's another guy that would be that has name value
But
around
not
the
really
league
for the
and the talent.
Cavs because they have bigs already.
Not for the Cavs though. Yeah,
Yeah,
not for the Cavs. But I don't know. If I'm the Nets, I'm looking to. This is what happened when you had KD, Kyrie, and everybody else come through the Nets, man. They had a nice young core they could have really built with Joe Harris, D'Lo, Jared Allen. But man, I think they really need to reset this one more time because I don't see how you build around Bridges unless you're looking to move Claxton. I don't know why you want to move Claxton. He's a solid center for that team.
You know how I feel about this team? The word that describes them?
What?
Cultureless.
Cultureless. That's a good.
They just don't have any identity. Like, what are they?
Yeah, it just kind of feels like they go out there and they just play basketball.
Like me and you are a little bit critical when it comes to Tibbs, but they have a culture.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, like they have a culture. Like you know what you're gonna get out of Tibbs and the Knicks and their two best players, right? Yeah. Like that's a lot of their identity. With like the Nets, what is their identity? I don't know.
I like Vaughn as a head coach, but I think you need the players to create that, right? And I think he likes to do a lot of the. You see, like he likes to do a lot of movement type style offense, right? Like call plays, call set plays, have these guys like while the ball's like say in Bridges' hands, guys setting backdoor screens, guys doing curls, trying to get open looks. But you need higher level talent in order to start creating that type of culture. You know what I mean? I just don't see that.
You know, it's crazy. Like a lot of it was like if the Nets all stayed healthy, they would have a great chance just because of all that talent. But it was almost like the Suns thing. Like they have great top end talent, but they didn't have a great culture either. Like when I think of culture, I think of the Heat. Now the Spurs are tanking now, but I do believe they're a great culture team, and the Warriors are tanking now. I'm not doing well now, but I look at them as a team with great culture. Like it's going to be interesting how the Nets develop culture moving forward, especially being like the second team in the city. It's not an easy thing to do. Like, look, you see the Clippers, like they struggle to find culture because they're the second team in their city.
For sure. And shout out to Flizzy Flex in the chat. He says the Nets are confused. And trust me, when I watch that team, I'm confused too as what direction they're going in.
Mm-hmm.
I'm confused as well. But let's go on to the next game, Andrew. We got my beloved New York Knicks facing the Dallas Mavericks. Ooh. And this was a game, not going to lie, I was a little confident. I was a little confident in Knicks. I'm like, oh, no Luka Doncic. They're missing they're missing a lot of their stars. They're missing Exum. They're missing Derek Lively. And I'm thinking, okay, 3 stars are out. The Knicks should have a chance to come win this game. But the Knicks started slow. Mavs were able to go and take their food in the first quarter. You had Josh Green not missing a shot. Same thing with Kyrie Irving. Tim Hardaway Jr. just firing away from 3 and knocking it down. He always has some feelings when he sees that orange and blue step on the court. So Mavericks just ran away with it in the first quarter. The Knicks would fight back. They gave a valiant effort, but the Mavs were able to do just enough, especially in under a minute to go, where they got 3 offensive rebounds to prevent the Knicks from trying to get a bucket. So good win for the Dallas Mavericks. Hurts as a Knicks fan, but this Mavs team, man, without Luka, it was just like Kyrie Irving's just so impressive. I know it's like saying the sky is blue, grass is green, whatnot, but he is honestly one of the most skilled basketball players I have ever watched in the league. Like probably AI was another guy that you could throw up there with just like skill wise, just how he can get to the rack, score at all 3 levels and so forth. But Kyrie's just, in my opinion, it's just another level the way he can do it.
I think Allen Iverson was a better basketball player, but I would also say I believe Kyrie Irving is more skillful than Allen Iverson, right? Like,
yeah,
Allen Iverson dragged that team to the Eastern Conference Finals on his own back. Do I think Kyrie could do that? Probably not. But when you just looked at what you alluded to, like the 3-level scoring. He has every option you could think of, and then all the options you can't even think of as a finisher around the rim. Like just everything you need. It's almost like boring for him when he gets around the rim. Like he could do whatever he wants. 3-level scorer, a really great shooter. Like he's probably underrated as a shooter, and he's underrated as a movement shooter. Could come off curls when he wants,
Yep.
whatever. Like has he pull with the right, has he pull with the left, any dribble combination. Definitely the most skillful guard in the NBA. Now SGA is, if he keeps trending in this direction, the bag that he has around the rim and with the basketball and the 3-point start, like he's trending towards that direction. But Kyrie Irving is still the most skillful guard in the NBA, and then Jokic is the most skillful big.
For sure. Jokic is the most skillful big. Kyrie Irving, the most skillful guard. I don't know, man. There's just something about Kyrie that is just like, it's just insane that, he went 15 for 26 last night. And just him, if you leave him on an island, he can get anything from anywhere, man. Whether it's just a pull-up jumper, whether it's attacking, finishing around the rim. It is just, I'm just always in awe when I get to watch Kyrie Irving play, because I don't think I can, like Luka, very dominant player. He moves at his own pace. So does Kyrie, but Luka's not the fastest guy, but he knows how to use his strength and his body to finish at different angles and hit tough shots. Kyrie just has this ability to use his body, stop and go, change speed on a dime, all of that. And just every shot I was watching, it just felt like it was just nothing but net every single time. When he was shooting.
Too easy, right?
It just feels too easy when I watch him play. And that's why I'm like, I don't think I've seen somebody make the game look that, like Steph makes it look easy, but Kyrie, because Steph, one of the greatest 3-point shooters to ever play the game, one of the best players to play the game too. But when you got to watch Kyrie Irving, the way that he can use his handles just to get anywhere on the court, it's otherworldly.
All right. I know you say I go off topic a lot, but I was thinking about this today. You mentioned Steph Curry. This is a little bit off topic, but has Steph Curry, has he ever been as good as Jokic is right now?
When you say as good as like Jokic,
now they're they're totally different players, obviously, right? But I'm
for
just
sure.
saying,
but are you saying like complete, like facilitating
basketball player,
like the complete player like Jokic is?
This guy went.
No,
this guy,
I don't think I've
this
said.
guy,
I can't.
Yo, this guy had shooting splits of 100, and went for a triple double.
Yeah, I don't think I could say that Steph is like in that same like complete basketball player as Jokic, because
was he more impactful? You felt like he was more impactful?
Who is
Steph? Like with the winning? Like, what do you think?
Yeah, he's definitely very impactful. I mean, you have to guard him as soon as he steps across half court, you got to guard him. That's very impactful. You know what I mean? It's not necessarily impact, but when I think of like how the Warriors play their game, like, can Steph create for others? Sure. Is he asked to do that night in and night out? No, because that's what they asked Draymond to do. When they had Sean Livingston, they asked Sean Livingston to do that. When they had Andre Iguodala, they had asked Andre to do that too. Like, they really were that. When I think of positionless basketball, they're like that moniker for positionless basketball,
right?
With just when they were at their championship, like the beginning of their championship phase. And so Steph, even though he does a lot for this team, he wasn't asked to do everything that you would necessarily think of a point guard to do. But when I think of Jokic as like a complete player, like he can do it all. You know what I mean? Like, I think of him like facilitating, rebounding, scoring wise, right? And I won't put that. And are you trying to go with that for Kyrie too? Is that where you're trying to throw? Is that where you're leading me?
No, I just like when you mentioned Steph Curry, I was kind of thinking about like how good Jokic is at this very moment, because I think he's so much better than the rest of the NBA and the gap is widening.
I can agree with that. I just think like as a more full, complete basketball player, I think that's because they ask Jokic to do everything.
He's the engine. I mean? Like, Draymond is kind of the engine for a lot of those Warriors teams.
And that's what I'm saying. Like,
yeah.
When it comes to like thinking about Steph, like he's impacted and changed the game for sure. But on a night-to-night basis, like he's not.
Can he drag a team?
To do everything.
He's not. And I
like Jokic is asked to do everything. And even when you watch last night's game for Kyrie Irving, Kyrie was asked to do essentially everything for that team. Like, he was passing, he can get the boards, he can push the break, he can score when he needs to. I would say that Kyrie's, especially like when you watch last night, Kyrie can be asked and has shown that he can do it. I don't. I wouldn't say like he did with LeBron because it was obviously a LeBron team. Brooklyn, he at stretches was asked to do it, but if you're asking like on a night to night basis, who demonstrates it at a high consistent level, it's Jokic and nobody else.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think the level that Jokic is playing at right now, even though everybody appreciates him because he just won a championship, it's probably not appreciated enough. It's kind of like how the Miami Heat go under the radar every year. It's like this kind of goes under the radar a little bit of how much better he is than the rest of the league.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. But staying on this Mavs Knicks game, with the Mavericks winning this one, they're 23-16, right? You look at them where they are in the standings in the Western Conference, and they're right now in the play-in. They're seventh right now, 23-16. You got a stacked Western Conference, a lot of good teams that are winning right now. You got the Pelicans, Kings, Clippers, Nuggets, Thunder, and Wolves, who are all in that top six. Mavs are just a half game behind the Pelicans for the sixth spot. When you watch this Mavericks team, do you think that this is a team that could go to the NBA Finals? Are you convinced?
I still don't think there's enough around Luka for them to win a championship. Go to the West, maybe, possibly, but I don't think that this team is built well enough to get to that level, in my opinion. Now, Kyrie is great, but I just think, Tim Hardaway is a really nice player, right? But with the depth around the league, as we already talked about, I just don't think there's enough for them to win a championship. Now, I think Pascal is a great fit on this team, or even a Jeremy Grant, and I think that takes them over the hunch and gives Luka enough for them to win a championship this season.
Yeah, I just like it's very top heavy when I look at this team with Kyrie and Luka. And we were talking about it with SFNDR when he was on the show with thinking about Siakam for the Mavs. That would be a great addition for that team because I look at that power forward position. I think that's like you can upgrade at that position. And then I think you get into the next stratosphere of really competing in the West and potentially being in a Western Conference final. What I don't know, man. Just the depth of this Mavericks team is just really weird. I mean, you got Derek Jones Jr. playing power forward, Exum who's had a nice revitalized career.
Yeah, and those guys are doing everything they're asked
Yeah,
of.
they are. Josh
Yeah.
Green had a really good game last night. Tim Hardaway, like he's a good player. He could be hit or miss. Jaden Hardy, still need to see more on him. Seth Curry. I feel like Seth Curry is just falling.
I feel like they don't give him opportunity anymore, though. I mean,
no, and they're looking at Jaden Hardy, right? They want to make sure that he gets
he is talented. Jaden Hardy's talented, really talented. Yeah,
you got Dwight Powell, Grant Williams. It's just the team is constructed in an interesting manner, and it's like and it's more so like Luka, right? And it's like the way Luka is like as a player, like he playing point guard, it really throws, I guess, some things off on how that the rest of the team is designed. But I don't know. There's just
it's like the
a
LeBron
lot
thing.
of Kyrie and Luka on a night to night basis.
Yeah, it's like the LeBron thing. You got to build it in a certain way, right, around LeBron, and it's similar.
Yeah,
with Luka. I would also say like they're playing more in transition this year, which really helped their offense. And Luka is playing more defense this season and took it even to another level on offense. So they really need to make a win now move, in my opinion. I think they should try and bring in Jeremy Grant or Pascal Siakam if they can to bring in that wing that they really need and to throw at some of the league's best players, right? The wings around them, because if they do end up in the West against a Tatum or a Giannis or even a Jimmy Butler, you need that guy to guard those guys if you want to win a championship, no matter how good Luka is.
Are you taking Siakam or are you taking Grant for this Mavericks team?
You know what? I think Siakam's a better basketball player, and I think that's Siakam's best fit, right? Like out of all the teams, I want to see him with the Mavericks. I mean, Indiana would be okay, but I really like to see him with the Mavericks. But I do think Jeremy Grant is a better fit than Siakam because he's a better shooter. And you always want that around, Luka, especially Luka. And then also there's more position versatility. Like you could play Jeremy Grant legitimately at the 5 if you want, right?
Yeah, so even at the 3.
Exactly. So I think for the playoffs, you want those guys that are more versatile. I think Pascal is a better basketball player, but I think Jeremy fits the Mavericks better because of the shooting and the versatility.
Interesting. Can you argue that you need somebody who can just get downhill pretty well in Siakam and say, like, when I look
That's
at this
fair.
team, when
That's
I look at
fair.
this team, like you got Luka and Kyrie who could just shoot anywhere on the court. Yeah, you got Timmy who's a really good 3-point shooter, but who's that guy that like Irving and Luka can easily get downhill too because they're such a 3-level threat. But who's that guy that you look at on this team that's like it's kind of like the Julius Randle, the RJ Barrett way that I look at it is like who gets downhill constantly to put pressure on the rim and then opens it up for everybody else. And that's where I kind of think like Siakam might be that fit, even though you may want more shooting. Like I like Grant. I think both of them would be great options for the Mavericks. But I go back and forth in my head, Andrew, where it's like, do you need another guy who can just get out there and transition? Like, because he runs the court well too. And for this Mavericks team, they do like to get out into the open floor a lot. And Siakam could just fit right there.
Yeah, and he gives you more of that, in the playoffs and when the shot clock is going down and late game situations, you need that guy that could get his own shot. Even though you already have Luka and Kyrie, he's more of that than Jeremy Grant. And to your point in transition, like the Mavs have been playing more in transition than ever this season. And Kyrie's great in transition. Luka is great everywhere. He's great in transition. But if Pascal could tap into more of what he was when he was playing with Kawhi and less of the all NBA Pascal in terms of the way he plays, I think he could be a great fit for the Mavs as well. So I totally agree with you. I think him in transition would be really good for the Mavericks, especially taking into the consideration the way they've been playing lately.
Here's this, Andrew. Right now, when you look at statistics according to NBA Advanced Stats, the Dallas Mavericks are 7th right now in the league when it comes to points off of turnovers. So you know that means they're getting out there and pushing the pace a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're also getting fast break points. Dallas Mavericks are 7th once again, moving at getting averaging about 15 and a half points off of fast break points per game. This is where I look at Siakam. I feel like if that's the style of play that you want to run, like that just kind of is his calling card. Not saying that Grant can't do it, but Siakam, that's just when I think Siakam, right? And especially when they won that championship, I just always think of him just running that open court, flying down like north and south.
Yeah. And I think he's one of those players that could really thrive in like heliocentric type offense where a team is revolved around one or two players. Like people said OG could fit anywhere. Yeah, he could fit anywhere, but he's better in a system, I think, with two ISO heavy guys than a read and react type offense like the Warriors or the Kings. And I
Mm-hmm.
think Pascal is a very different player, but in the same way, he fits better next to another star, not necessarily reading and reacting, just plugging in to do what he has to do, running in transition, and then just playing off those guys like he did with Kawhi. So I do like his fit for Pascal, even though I said I like Jeremy Grant better than Pascal for the Mavericks. For Pascal, I think the Warriors is probably the best fit. Mavericks are the best fit. Mavericks in Indiana, but Mavericks fit his timeline and they're in title contention right now. So that's why I like the Mavericks better for Pascal.
Who do you think is cheaper to get between Grant and Pascal?
Oh man, we got to look at the numbers, right?
Well, I'm saying like like I guess. Well,
Oh, their trade value.
yeah, trade value.
Yeah, the thing is I don't. You know what's crazy? I think both of them have not said that they want to leave where they're at publicly, at least. And
They
I don't.
haven't, but
And I
I know.
don't. Yeah, okay. So I don't think Portland wants to move off of Jeremy Grant unless he says something,
I was
right?
see the offseason they had reports that Grant was going to most likely be moved by the trade deadline this season. I mean, maybe that could have changed, but that was like this past offseason. So you have Siakam in his last year of his deal making 37.9 million. And then you have Jeremy Grant who's making well, he signed, let's see, he has 5 years on his deal. He's making this season 27.6 million. So big difference in contract. You could talk about like a $10 million. You're talking close to a $10 million difference.
Mm-hmm.
But who do you think is the like? Is it Jeremy
Who,
Grant because he's on the losing
who
team, or is it Siakam because he's on a last year deal?
I think you're talking about in terms of trade value, right?
Yeah, trade value.
Yeah, I think Jeremy Grant actually has more trade value because he fits into more places because of the shooting. It's kind of like the Caruso DeMar DeRozan thing. Like DeMar DeRozan is clearly a better player, but there's so many more teams, I believe, vying for Caruso because of the way he fits with other star players. You know what I mean?
Mm,
So I think that's why Jeremy Grant would have more trade value. But I also think there's less likely of a chance for Jeremy Grant to be moved than Pascal.
mm. Okay. Okay. I mean, I think Jeremy Grant with the young team, you need some veteran leadership. He's 29 though, so I don't know how much longer he wants to be on a losing team. You know what I mean? Like if you're gonna wait for Scoot, Anthony Simons,
Yeah.
like
Scoot looks like it might take a while.
Scoot does look like it might take a while, man.
Yeah.
Scoot does look like it might take a while. But let's keep this thing moving, man. Salute to the NBA Nation. Thank you all for tuning in for another show of the NBA Report. Make sure to support our sponsor, Prize Picks, using that promo code NBAR to get up to a $100 match. Okay, Andrew.
Yep.
We had some blowouts around the league, man. I know you're waiting for this conversation because you want to talk about your Milwaukee Bucks. Okay, you want to talk about your Milwaukee Bucks and how they beat the brakes off the Boston Celtics.
Oh, the favorites. They're the title favorites, right? The Boston Celtics.
They are the title favorites. They are the title favorites. So let's get into
Mm.
this, man, because it was a 135 to 102 win for the Bucks. What were your takeaways from this game last night?
Thanasis left-hand layup. Did you see that? For all the hate he gets, did you see that left-hand layup?
No, I don't get it. No, I did not see that.
What I tell you, man, this team their two top players just have more heart than the two top players for the Celtics, man. And I think in the playoffs that will show. And I also believe as playoff performers, I told you this a million times, I believe in Dame and Giannis more than Jaylen and Jason. And then another thing is like the health stuff. Like if one of the Celtics top 6 happened to get hurt, it's over, bro. It's over. Now, on the other hand, the Bucks need Middleton to play better. And he hasn't looked like Middleton. He's so skillful that he could like be good enough to play in NBA games at this point, even with a knee that doesn't look 100%. But I think Middleton's health really has to improve. Now, there's no reports that he's unhealthy, but I just think that knee has to get better for them to win it in the East. He has to be better. But look, if he's great, Michael Beasley shooting the ball a lot better lately. If you got Chris Middleton, Giannis, Brook Lopez, and Dame, I really like that 4 in the playoffs. And more importantly, like I just believe in Giannis and Dame as playoff performers more than the 2 J's for the Celtics.
I hear you on the top 6 for the Celtics being the main focal point for this team, because if any one of those guys get hurt, then yeah, like if it's over, right? You lose Horford, it's over. You lose KP, it's over. Obviously, you lose one of the Jays, it's over. I just chalked this up to like a bad night for the Celtics, but I totally understand where you're saying, hey, it's tough to believe in a team that has always just fallen just short of the expectation, right? Whether it was in the NBA Finals, whether it's making it to the Eastern Conference Finals, losing to the Miami Heat last year, losing to the Warriors when they had a 2-1 lead in the series. I totally hear you, Andrew. I can understand why there's skepticism in this Celtics team. But I have to look at the talent. And it's like, I know we could talk about any team, like it comes down to health. You know, you talk about even last season, Giannis doesn't hurt his back. Probably the Miami Heat don't go on that run.
Even well, if it's my narrative, that's why I go to the health.
If it's your I get it. If it's your narrative, if it's your agenda, you want the Bucks to go all the way. We get it. How much money did you put down on these guys, man?
Oh, I don't know, man. I'll stick to Prize Picks. How about that? Just, you know, 2 to 6 player projections. All right. Daily fantasy sports made easy.
There you go. Daily fantasy sports made easy. We're about to do that. We'll get more into our selections in just a bit, but hey, I don't know, man. It's just like each team is allowed to have an off night. And look, this is the second night of a back-to-back for the Boston Celtics. So I'm going to chalk it up to that while the Bucks came in with rest. So Yeah, man. That's
A
how I look at it.
lot of excuses coming from Alex's side when it comes to this Boston Celtics team.
I'm not trying to make excuses. This is like the last team I need to make excuses
Wait, you
for.
do live in Boston now, so maybe
Oh
that's
my goodness. Yeah, what's
okay.
behind me though? It's a Walt Clyde Frazier jersey. There's no green and white
I
outside
don't
of the New York Jets in here.
I don't think anybody could deny your Knicks fan, the Alex. Don't worry about that. All right.
Okay, okay, but don't look at me just trying to support the. I have to listen to enough people tell me, "Oh, the Celtics are great. Celtics are great every year, even when
Oh,
they're
that's
not in
true.
it. Even when
That's
they're
true.
not in it, it's like Isaiah Thomas, we could win the NBA Finals." I'm like, against LeBron James, you're gonna go through LeBron James to go get to the NBA Finals? Yes.
Here's a good question for you. Who's better, IT or Brunson? IT prime, Brunson now.
Here we go, Brunson.
I like it. I respect it. I
And
think
it's not Knicks. It's not my Knicks fandom. Like IT, when you watch Brad Stevens and all the stuff he had to get IT getting downhill, like there was a lot of screens that he had to do, not really to get IT involved in that offense to get the offense clicking. Could IT sometimes get into his ISO bag and not need a screen? Sure, but there was a lot of curls. There was a lot of stuff that they did, a lot of high pick and rolls to really get IT into his sets when you watch that Celtics team. Brad Stevens was a wizard for getting him into the top 4 of MVP voting.
I think, we talked about the complete basketball player thing with Jokic and Steph Curry. And I do believe Jaylen Brunson, scoring wise, it's probably pretty equal, right? Or you could give a slight edge to IT, but just all around basketball player, I would give it to Brunson too.
The thing like IT had some speed, but it wasn't like when I watched IT and like King of the Fourth, like he would knock down some really difficult shots,
He
man.
would. He
It was like
would.
really difficult. It was some really difficult shots. Brunson can knock down difficult shots, but he can create some. It's just like the physicality of Brunson and
One of the
his
best.
ability.
Brunson's one of the best post players in the league.
That's the thing. Like
Yeah.
his ability to create his own shot more frequently than IT is why I give it to Brunson. Where like, look, shout out to IT because that team was what him, Bradley, Mook. You had a lot of these guys who were like, you had Al Horford on the team. Like, it was,
Yeah.
there was a cast of characters that IT was carrying on that team.
Yeah, and neither are pure point.
Smart on that team too.
Yeah, neither are pure point guards, but I do like Brunson's PG skills better than IT's as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll go with Brunson in that one. Chad, who do you think? Is it Isaiah Thomas or is it Jalen Brunson? We're probably gonna get a lot of Jalen Brunson because we have a lot of Knicks fans tuning into the show. But
Yeah.
give us your honest opinion. Give us your honest opinion. Shout out to JRO712. He's like, Alex, I hear that all the time in Connecticut as well. All of a sudden, a quarter of everyone I know became a Celtics fan. Yeah. Well, let me tell you something about Connecticut, okay, for a second.
Ooh,
That
a Connecticut
state,
rant.
here we go. That state, man, disgusting in how you could just, it could be a Patriots fan, Yankee fan, Celtics fan. It's all over the place. They get to choose whatever they want.
UConn.
Huh?
UConn fans.
UConn fans. I mean, that's fine. That's in the state. But I'm saying like they're between two of the biggest cities.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
They're between two of the biggest cities. So you're like, I'm gonna be a Yankees fan. I'm gonna be a Patriot. Like, there's too many Yankee Patriots fans for my liking. And I'm like, whoa, woo.
Yeah.
Gamba. Shout out to Gamba. He's like, Jesus, the whole state though? Nasty work. Hashtag
Nasty work.
Yeah, nasty work. I'm going in on Connecticut. Look, guys, if you're closer to New York, you choose the New York teams. If you're closer to Massachusetts, you choose the New England teams. That's how it should be. None of this. Look, man, I'm like 10 minutes in coming from the Massachusetts board. I'm seeing Yankee flags. I'm seeing Patriots flags all over the place. Strange place, man. Strange place. But hey, it is what it is. It is what it is. But we got other blowouts in last night's docket, man. I mean, we can we can also go to the Thunder Portland Trailblazers game where I don't even know what's going on with the Trailblazers. It's like they decided to take off this week and just not do anything. It was insane. You had OKC just routing the Portland Trailblazers 139-77. And for me, when I watch this team, when I watch the Trailblazers, like OKC, awesome team. We give a lot of kudo, a lot of credit to the Thunder team for how talented they are and their depth. But watching Portland play, I mean, you talked about it, Andrew, where you just have Scoot, who is it's going to take a little bit of time for him to get caught up with the play style of the NBA. You know, Shadon Sharp didn't shoot well last night. Anthony Simons didn't shoot well last night. Jeremy Grant didn't shoot well. Like, this team is just so discombobulated right now.
Like, check.
This is a team that I think you need to. This is a team where I think you really need to look. This is why we talk about trading Jeremy Grant. I think you need to trade Jeremy Grant. You need to trade Malcolm Brogdon, who did not play yesterday. He, for rest reasons, I think he's getting traded ASAP. And just let the kids play, man. Just let the kids play. Maybe even trade Matisse Thybulle because he's got some value around the league as a defensive stopper. So I think this is a team where you need to just trade all your players in the sense of Jeremy Grant, Matisse Thybulle, Malcolm Brogdon, and just let the kids run because they need a lot more. And none of those three guys I named is saving this team.
Yeah, but don't you think from their perspective, Thybulle might be the guy that they want to keep? Because of the improved shooting, how elite he is defensively. Like, he might be a mix with their young core, a great mix. Brogdon definitely needs to go. Like, that's like the Eric Gordon thing all over again. Like, just staying on a team where he shouldn't be.
Yeah. Brogdon definitely needs to go, and that's why you hear rumors. I mean, I covering the Knicks Blazers game, we had a lot of fans in the chat saying, "Oh, I don't necessarily want Brogdon because he didn't play well." I'm like, guys, I would not play well too if I was on that team. I would do everything in my power not to play a lot of minutes, save my body so that way I can go to a contender. He just went from he traded from this. He got traded from the Celtics to the Blazers. Man, that is such a demotion.
I watched him play versus the Brooklyn Nets, and he absolutely took over that game in overtime. Not from a standpoint where he's creating everything, but just like he made it look so easy. It was like 3 threes and a layup, like nothing. That guy's like a true pro. You know, talk about effortless buckets. We talked about Kyrie effortless buckets. That guy could effortlessly score the basketball, and then he has some game managing skills as well. He's just like a legitimate pro. And just last season, 6th man of the year.
Yeah. 6th man of the year. He definitely has value. I think the Trailblazers need to move it. I guess you can keep Matisse Thybulle but he's also, yeah, he can fit that timeline. He's 26 years old. You can leave him as a 3-and-D player. I agree with your improved shooting. I could see if the Blazers are on the fence about him, but I would try to get as much draft capital just to retool around Scoot, Anthony Simons, Shadon Sharp, and just see what I can get. I mean, you also the other issue is that you have. I'm going to ask you this because they got 2 centers in what is it? They got Robert Williams and you got DeAndre Ayton out there. Both of them are injured right now. Williams out for the season. Which would you rather keep? Who would you trade?
You can't trade Williams. With how many injuries he's had, who's taking him?
He's a good defensive center. I mean,
he's a great. I mean, he was great for Boston when he was with them and healthy, but the guy just can't stay healthy, unfortunately. So I don't know how much value he has. Aiden hasn't been great, but I do believe there's more value just because of the health. You know, yeah, it's tough with Williams, man. It's sad. It's kind of sad. Like, he's just been plagued by injuries.
Yeah, plagued by injuries.
So I think with Williams, you almost have to keep him and hope. I think
that's a lot of, I don't know. I feel like they should try, if he's healthy next season, I think you try to move one of those centers.
Well, yeah, you have to let him play for the first 20 games or something, and play well. Yeah. But I don't think do you think he has much value at this point with all those injuries? Like, you can't, it's hard to trade somebody when they're not even available right now,
Yeah, he's not going to get traded this season because no one's going to trade for an injured guy, unless they want to sell extremely low on him, which I don't see them doing. But
right,
I agree with you. You have him play 20 games next year. You move one of them by the deadline, and then you call it a day. You probably keep Ayton just because of the health. He's been more healthy than Robert Williams, but I don't know. I think it's a good. I think that's a good conversation if you're in the Portland Trailblazers front office to say, do you want more defense at your 5, or do you want to have the possibility of giving Ayton more responsibility on offense?
So I don't know Aiden personally, but he seems so aloof. He seems like a great person, but it doesn't feel like he knows the NBA is a serious thing.
You know what really threw me off? When that video clip of him and Mo Bamba, when they got drafted and they were just playing the air guitars on those inflatable things, I was like, I'm good, man. There's something about that video. I was like, no. Absolutely not.
Like you had, like he wanted his opportunity to have his own team. Like I kind of get it. He was the fourth option of the Suns. He still feels like he's still young. Maybe in his head, he believed he could become a max player as, an option closer to number one, even though on this team, he'd never be a number one option with Anthony Simons. But like maybe in theory, he could have been a number two. Like, right? Like, why not take this situation really seriously? Like, he just seems like, yeah, I'm out here, I'm playing basketball, like kind of like going to the gym to get some cardio or some rec.
Yeah.
Like this is
Yeah.
the NBA.
Hey man, this is the Blazers issue, man. They got to figure that out. This is why the Suns were able to move off of him too, right? Because they wanted somebody mobile, more mature to go in that direction of competing for a championship title. And let's talk about the Suns right now because they whooped the Los Angeles Lakers yesterday. Bradley Beal had a good game, had over 30 points last night. You have your big three for the Phoenix Suns finally returning. They get a solid win against the Los Angeles Lakers. And then the Lakers, after they went on a 2-game winning streak, dropped this one. You believe in the Suns now, Andrew, after watching Bradley Beal go? No.
I mean, like, I think Bradley Beal does bring them something that even Booker and Katie doesn't have from an athleticism standpoint, like that burst to get to the rim. And I think that's part of the reason that, and him being a 3-level scorer, is part of the reason why he led the NBA in scoring. Like, I think he's a great player, but I don't believe in the Suns' depth. And I think there's too much redundancy in the skill set of the top 3 players, even though Bradley Beal does bring them something a little bit different in terms of like his burst and putting pressure on the rim.
Yeah, I'm still not a believer because they need the time on the court in order to get into rhythm.
Yeah.
Uh, the depth is fine. I just think if you don't, and this is the thing, like Bradley Beal is healthy right now. KD could be injured tomorrow. Book could be injured tomorrow. Like this, all three of these players, more so KD and Book, you just never know when an injury is going to happen to either one of those players. If they get enough reps in, I could see them going to the second round. But I think for that team, like offensively, they're awesome. But I think there's still a learning curve for this team that they have to go through in order to get into that rhythm.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, like if they could get everything together and bring in some more pieces in the off season, I think next year, and the biggest question is, can all 3 of them stay healthy and play together? I think next year is the time where it's more of like championship or bust. Like I don't even believe in this team as championship contenders from the beginning of us finding out that Bradley Beal would be part of that trio. Like, and just the roster that they had now. I do like the additions of Eric Gordon and Grayson Allen. Like, I like those additions. Grayson Allen is shooting it really well this season. But it's just like you don't just throw players together and win a championship against a team like the Denver Nuggets. You know, even if they do make it far, like I don't know, I don't see it them beating a Denver Nuggets team led by Jokic and just having those pieces around Jokic that fit so well and the culture
Right.
they're building. And the Nuggets could take another leap if MPJ could shoot it better in the playoffs. Like he didn't even shoot it great last year.
He did
Imagine.
not at all. He was a no-show in the finals.
Exactly. So even if he shoots it at an okay level, like better than he did last season, that makes, now I know they lost Bruce Brown, okay, but I think that makes them even more dangerous when you added that movement shooter making shots. And he's still young, like he could play better with this experience in the playoffs and shoot it better.
And you still got Christian Braun, who essentially does the same thing as
Yeah.
Brown. So Malone's was smart enough to include Brown in that rotation last year to get him that experience. So I don't see the Nuggets taking a
Yeah.
step back. But for the Suns, 20 and 18, you think they're going to be in the top 6 when it's all said and done?
Probably not.
Probably not. You see them
Yeah.
as a play-in team?
Yeah. I'd say
Okay.
around there. And like what, like maybe 8 seed if they all stay healthy, 7 seed.
Okay.
Yeah. What do you
Okay.
think? What do you think, Alex?
I think they could get to 6. I think they could get to 6. I mean, to me, their competition is the Mavericks. I don't see the Pelicans staying at 6 right now.
Okay.
I just think they're too up and down as a team because of Zion, of the reliability of Zion. I think Ingram's awesome, but
Reliability in Zion in terms of health or in terms of the way he's playing?
both.
Okay.
Like he's been healthy this season, but his play also needs to really take a step up to be that, like, for who he is, he should be playing at a higher level than he is right now.
Yeah.
And then for the Mavs, we discussed it, but I think they're just too top heavy of a team where they need that third option to really solidify them being a top 6 team. That's why they're up and down. You see, like they're in this range of just tightly contested between like the Clippers, Kings, Pelicans, Mavs, like between 4 and 7, it can go in either direction. Like Nuggets, OKC, Timberwolves, that's your set three, in my opinion. It's everybody else for the last three of the top six that could really be jumbled around with the Suns and the Mavericks. So if the Mavericks, I can see the Mavericks being a play-in team. I give the Suns a 6. I could see them being the 6 if they all stay healthy. Obviously, with the caveat as if they all stay healthy, I could see them getting the 6th spot. I just
Okay,
don't trust the Pelicans that much.
that's fair.
And then on the Lakers side, you get this L. Man, Lakers fans, Lakers Nation going through it, man. You get 2 solid wins. Now you're going back. They've lost 5 of their last 7 games. That's tough, man. That's tough. After winning the play-in tournament, they have done more losing than they have won. They've lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. They've had 11 losses and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wins. They've gone 11. They are 5-11
Yeah.
in their last 16.
Everybody points to the Suns' health issues. I mean, the Lakers have had their health issues as well. But what has been encouraging is seeing AD and LeBron still playing at a high level, and especially LeBron. And we see they could flip that switch. They did it in the in-season tournament. I know everybody makes fun of the in-season tournament with the banners and all that stuff, but they can flip a switch when they want, and you should never count a LeBron James team out.
You shouldn't. You just see the DeJounte Murray rumor starting to ramp up even more. Looks like that's the guy.
We gotta find that clip of me talking about them back to the Spurs, and then that report came out.
Oh yeah, I mean it makes sense, man. They need a point guard.
Yeah, I mean, think about the difference between him and Sohan at the PG, and I like Sohan.
They went back to Trey Jones.
Exactly,
They're like, okay,
exactly, yeah.
We can't do that. We need a point guard, guys. We
Yeah,
got to be respectable now.
and more Wemby at the 5, which has been good. You know, he's been eating at the 5. So
yeah. So the Lakers, whoo, 5-11 in their last 16. That is tough, man. That's tough for an 80 LeBron-led team, and they need. I think DeJounte is going to be that guy. I don't know if LaVine's that guy. Who would you between? Okay, let me ask you this: between LaVine and DeJounte, who would you go with if you're the Lakers?
LaVine.
You're going with LaVine over DeJounte.
I think he's a better fit next to LeBron.
I see. I'm going to go with DeJounte because I think they need another guy who's on ball who can create.
Really, because like in the playoffs, LeBron's going to have the basketball a lot. And we see Trae Young is a player that needs the basketball a lot, and that didn't really mesh well. Now, I know Trae and LeBron are totally different players, but I do think you need DeJounte in a place where they need a point guard. Like the Clippers would have been a nice fit before this Harden thing. You know, like they had 2 wing stars that needed a table setter, and that's exactly what they got with James Harden. Now, James Harden is better than DeJounte, but that would have been a nice fit for DeJounte. I think when you have a player like LeBron, you don't need a guy that needs the basketball a lot, right? If he does need the basketball, he could also play off the ball really well as well. We saw with Trae, it didn't really work.
I think they need another guy defensively who can knock down shots. I think if you go down through like the pros and cons of each player, I think you just look at offense and off ball for LaVine, not necessarily a guy who I would look as a creator. And then when I think of like what the Lakers need, I think they need a guy who can create when they need to rest LeBron. That's not really what. Like they use D'Lo in those instances, but then they need another guy who can play defense. And then DeJounte's been shooting well from 3. I think it gives you the shooting, the defense, and the creating that you need, especially when you have like they use Reeves off the bench to be that instant scorer.
Yeah,
but I think they need another guy who can just because LeBron doesn't necessarily like. I don't look at LeBron like the guy at this point of his career where he always wants the ball in his hand. I think he does that just because if he doesn't, you have to trust D'Lo, and that's not the guy I necessarily want to trust. But I think for the Lakers, you gotta go with Murray over LaVine.
I like Caruso's fit better than DeJounte. And DeJounte's a better basketball player. But well, obviously we know we like the Caruso LeBron fit, but even in this new team, like, you know, it's more of a thing where like he could play off the ball a little bit, he could play on the ball, and he's a versatile defender. I just feel like DeJounte Murray needs a team that they give him the keys, you know, to be the best version of DeJounte. And I think LaVine could possibly break the game wide open for the Lakers, like in terms of like that 2 guard who is truly Levine's almost all-star level. Like, he is an all-star level player. And if you have that at the 2 position with this team, he could shoot the ball, even though he doesn't shoot at a high volume from 3. He could shoot that 3 that they always need. And why can't Zach LaVine be like their souped up version of J.R. Smith? Like, that fit really well with LeBron back with the Cavs,
It did. I just keep going back to it though, Andrew. Like, I feel
transition is nice, right? With LeBron and Zach LaVine running in transition.
I see it. I can totally see it. There's
like the new D Wade and LeBron. Like, can you see it? LaVine and LeBron.
That's exactly what I'm thinking. I'm thinking those two. Oh man. All right, Andrew. Let's give a shout out to our sponsor, Prize Picks, man. Before we go into the last segment of the show, salute to our sponsor, Prize Picks. Make sure to use that promo code NBAR to get up to a $100 match, guys. I love using Prize Picks when I watch the games and I want a little bit more action, just to from a nice putting money down the line standpoint. I like using Prize Picks. Such an easy app to use. They give you a bunch of different categories to choose from, regardless of the sport, whether it's NFL, NBA, NHL, PGA. You can talk about soccer. They have you covered with every single sport, with every different category. You can choose either more or less than, right? So for tonight, this is my selection for the NBA slate that we got going on. So for my first selection, I chose Kobe White. He's been shooting the ball really well over the last few games. I chose him for more than 20.5 points. Next selection I made is Nikola Jokic. The Nuggets are going against New Orleans Pelicans. I love choosing Jokic for more than 46 points, rebounds, assists. He's just an automatic guy when it comes to points, rebounds, and assists. I like choosing that category for him. He does it all. We were just talking about how great of a player he is. He does every single facet of the game: rebounding, scoring, facilitating. He's that engine. And the Nuggets go as far as Jokic goes. All right. So I'm choosing him for more than 46 points, rebounds, and assists. I'm then going with Steph Curry, less than 4.5 3-pointers made. Steph Curry he's shooting fine for who he is as Steph Curry, but he hasn't had that Steph Curry, I'm going to shoot 8 of 10 from downtown yet. In my opinion, he's been in a little bit of what I would call his Curry slump. So I see him making less than 4.5 3-pointers. My last choice is Clint Capella. The Hawks are facing the Indiana Pacers yet again. Capella being a solid rebounder. Pacers are without Tyrese Halliburton. I think they're going to struggle. And I think Clint Capella is going to be able to get more than 10.5 rebounds going against Miles Turner tonight. So that's my sheet for tonight's slate. Andrew, where are you going?
Shouts to Prize Picks. Actually won yesterday.
Oh, let's go. Look at that.
All right. So Malik Beasley over 8.5. He killed that with 16 points. I went Chet Holmgren over 17.5. He had 19. So got a win there. But today's Prize Picks, we're going to go and start with Detroit versus Houston. I got Jaden Ivey going less than 18.5 points. Jaylen Green versus Detroit. I'm going less than 4.5 rebounds. Alperen Sengun will be playing against Detroit, one of the best passing bigs in the league. I'm going to go over 5.0 assists. And DeJounte Murray, I just talked about his point guard skills and a team needing him needing a team to give him the keys. They're playing against Indiana, who haven't been known for their defense this season. So the projection is at 5.0 assists. I will go more than on that. Shouts to Prize Picks, Daily Fantasy Sports.
There you go. Shout out to Prize Picks. Use that promo code NBAR to get up to a $100 match. All right, Andrew. Let's go through these questions, these midseason questions I got for you. Rapid fire. I want your takes on all this. First question I got for you. Which team has not met expectations so far this season?
Wow. That's a good one. I would say the Brooklyn Nets.
Ooh, really? Why?
Yeah, I thought they would be better this season with their what felt like depth in the beginning of the season. And Mikal Bridges having such a great year last year. I feel like he could I felt like he was going to take even another leap with their full slate. Honestly, I thought Ben Simmons would be a factor, and that has proved to be untrue. And I thought they would be a little bit better than this, and the struggles have been very apparent. I think they're definitely underachieving. Who do you have?
I like that pick. I'm between two teams, but I'm going to go with the Atlanta Hawks. I think the Atlanta Hawks have not met their expectations. I mean, they got Quinn Snyder, who they signed last year, right? That was supposed to help this team take another level. Then you have DeJounte Murray and Trae Young, who's still your backcourt. That hasn't been working out. I just feel like for a team that was in the Eastern Conference Final not too long ago, every single year they have fallen short of those expectations every single year. And this year it's just, they're not even in the play-in tournament right now. If the season were to end today, they're 15-21. They made that big trade for DeJounte Murray because they thought that that was the next guy that you needed to add next to Trae, just somebody defensively after moving off a Herter. And it just has not worked out for them at all. I'm looking at the Atlanta Hawks as a team that has been underwhelming this season. And that's why you hear them in all these trade rumors because they're trying to figure it out. Landry Fields trying to figure out how to fix this team. It's just been a disappointment every season for the Atlanta Hawks.
Former Nick Landry Fields, huh?
Former Nick Landry Fields. Hey, Landry, what are you doing over there, man? Not looking too good, man. Not looking too good.
Nasty work over there, Landry.
It is nasty work, all right? Don't get me wrong. I mean, that's the other thing. Like, they have Trae Young, who's supposed to be like this transcendent player, really good, but it's just been underwhelming watching that team play, man. Very underwhelming. Next question I got for you, Andrew. Which team has exceeded your expectations this season?
Well, they didn't exceed my expectations, but they exceeded everybody else's expectations because I talked about this team at Blue Wire Studios in Las Vegas with my guy Nick Diaz of the Veterans Minimum. I talked about the Houston Rockets because I thought that Alperen Şengün, baby Jokic, could take another leap and they should start building around him. I love that they brought in veteran players like Dylan Brooks and Fred VanVleet, and that has showed their presence in the locker room and on the court has been really apparent with Dylan Brooks coming off an amazing FIBA performance against Team USA. And he just rode that right into the regular season, making better decisions than ever before. I think all that talk on the internet about him going to China was absolutely ridiculous. And he showed that he's a really good basketball player and got even better this season. So they've been playing really well with those veterans added into the mix. And they got some guys that haven't even got opportunity yet. Cam Whitmore started playing a little bit more now, and he's been playing really well. And amen, because how good their team is, he's getting more opportunity so he could start showing himself in the second half of the season. I love everything that the Houston Rockets and Coach Udoka has been doing.
I like that selection. I'm going with the Orlando Magic for mine, Andrew. I like the Orlando Magic as my team that has exceeded expectations because a team last year that was not even in the plan. They had a losing record last year. You could see that they were able to compete, but it was just it felt like they needed something more from that team, but they didn't even do anything outside of really drafting players. They've just really relied on their like internal development from Paolo Banchero. You have also Jalen Suggs, who's been playing much better this season, right? I like how Markelle Fultz has had a nice little comeback story. Cole Anthony playing really well as well. Franz Wagner, like all those guys right there have been really solid this season and really taking a step up in their development. I mean, we know Paolo and Franz were going to be the two cornerstones for that team moving forward, but Jalen Suggs starting to hit the ball nice with his jumper and then offer that defensive, being that defensive hound that he was coming out of college. That's really been a good turnaround for this Orlando Magic team. And look, they're not even a good three-point shooting team, but they compete on a nightly basis for what their strengths are. And I like that. I like that about this team. And then the draft selection of Anthony Black, a guy who I know everyone likes to say that Lonzo Ball comparison because he could be that connector, but defensively, I like the way he can also facilitate. He's just been a nice addition too. I like what the Magic have done this season as a team. They're competing night in and night out. They're a fun team to watch, man. They're a nice, fun team to watch. You get some shooting on that team, oh my God, they're going to be so different.
You know what I love about that team is that they're going to fit a different type of archetype in the sense that when they start to really be successful and make the playoffs, all the debate shows are going to be talking about like who's Batman and who's Robin when it comes to Franz and Paulo. I think those two guys are going to and this rarely happens in the NBA, are going to both be 1A guys on the same team. Like, I don't think you'll be able to distinguish who is the top guy and who isn't. And I think in the modern NBA with so much talent, that's a good thing.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. I like the work mostly is done with that team. He has that guy. He has all those guys locked in for the Magic.
Yes, defensively has been a focus, and it's been great. Yep.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. All right. Which team will surge in the second half of the season?
The New York Knicks will continue to surge
Wow. You're going with my New York Knicks.
in
Appreciate
the
it, man.
second half of the season. And I love everything I'm seeing with the OG fit. But another reason for it is that guy Ihart is getting more opportunity and playing really well on both sides of the floor. High impact on the defensive side, which Tibbs loves, but he's also that connective piece on the offensive side, playing that Draymond type role, connecting their two isocentric stars in a great way. And I think that fit is just awesome with Julius Randle and Jalen Brunson. Would you consider Julius Randle and Jalen Brunson isocentric, Alex?
Yeah, I would.
Okay.
I would. Now they're both like both of them play a lot of isolation basketball. And for the way Tibbs runs, I mean, you can just go back to even the Chicago Bulls days. Even though I mentioned on the last show, yeah, Tibbs ran a version of the triangle system. He relied on Derrick Rose to be one of those creators, right? Like he looked at him for his main source of offense. So Tibbs has always done this. I even think about the time when the Bulls took down the Brooklyn Nets and he had Nate Robinson playing point guard for that team. Uh, it's there's a lot of isolation in a Tibbs offense. He likes to live in that early 2000 basketball mold, which is why, like, is there a little bit of modernness to his offensive game? Sure, where he's accepting the 3-point shooting, but there's still a lot of ISO basketball on his teams.
I wonder like how he would I always feel like this team is missing like movement shooting. And I mean, Fournier is a guy who could kind of do that, but he'll never get opportunity with Tibbs, right? Because of the defense. But even if he had a guy like Kevin Huerter or Duncan Robinson, like how would he use them?
I have no idea, but that's the whole point of like what Grimes is supposed. I mean, that's we can go back to the Heat Knicks playoff series in Game 6, where you had he called a play for Grimes to be a movement shooter, like in the right corner three. I was like, that's not something Grimes has done ever during this regular season. Why are we calling that play as he's falling away? Strange stuff, and that's something that Grimes was working on this offseason. But you're going with the New York Knicks.
You know who would be a really nice fit for them, even though he's a little bit older for a rookie. Jordan Hawkins. Movement shooting. He was performing early on in the NBA season. Like his ability to get shots off at volume with shooting a solid percentage is really impressive. I think he's going to be in the NBA for a long time to come, making some impact as a movement shooter.
That's an interesting look. That'd be an interesting look. I'm going to go with the Clippers, man. I think the Clippers are going to surge.
They are surging, like the Knicks in a way.
They're 24-13. They're playing well. I just think they're going to go to another level right now. I think it's going, like I told you how it's tight between 4, 5, 6, and 7. I think they're going to solidify a top 4 spot, and then we're really just going to be looking at 5, 6 as the last 2 spots. I think they're the team that's really going to surge. Like they're 7-3 in their last 10 games. I know they won. What was it? They went on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They went on a 9-game winning streak. Okay. They went what? 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 14. They went 14, 15, 16. They won 16. They won 16 games and only lost 3. They're 16-3. So yeah, they're technically surging right now, but I think it's only gonna get better for the Clippers as they go through.
So outside of Denver, who do you have as having the best chance to win the West?
Best chance to win the West? I said Timberwolves. I'm going to stick with Timberwolves.
Okay. Yeah. And then you would go Clippers after that or OKC?
Clippers, then OKC.
Yeah. I want to see Clippers. I want to see Clippers at OKC
play against.
I want to see OKC versus either the Lakers, the Warriors, or the Clippers because I want to see SGA take out some future Hall of Famers. And that's when his name becomes a household name by casual basketball fans. Like we all know about SGA, but just the people that tune in just to like the postseason and the finals, like I want them to learn about SGA.
Yeah, for sure. I want them to learn about SGA as well. But I'm
Yeah.
gonna go with the Clippers. As I said, I know they're winning a lot of games right now, but I only think that I think they're only scratching the surface uh of how good they really can be. Like
Yeah.
that's I know it's like saying this team's gonna be this team's already good. I think they're gonna be greater than what we're seeing right now.
Yeah. I mean, Kawhi's playing at a high level right now.
High level.
Yep.
Absolutely high level. All right. What team has cooled off the most?
I mean, the obvious answer is the Lakers. I mean, they raised the banner and now they're struggling. So they've cooled off right now. But as I said, like, I'm not as concerned about them as the Warriors. The Warriors never cooled off because it's been bad all year.
Right.
So, I would definitely say the Lakers, raising that first in-season tournament banner. I was just joking about it a little bit right now, but look, man, like that was impressive. I thought that was impressive how they just like flipped the switch and won that, and now they're struggling again. There seems to be a disconnect between Darvin Ham and the players, and we'll see how they move forward with that, and if they make any moves within the trade zeitgeist.
I agree with you. I think it's the Lakers that's cooled off the most. They started off the season really well. Like I said, they're losing a lot of games. You have all the controversy between Ham, talk about needing DeJounte Murray, Zach LaVine. They need to make a trade. You hear D'Lo, Rui Hachimura in trade rumors. I think that team has really, the team has cooled off.
Yep.
That team has cooled off from that in-season tournament, and who knows? Maybe they go on another magical run like they did last year. But there's a lot of soul searching that's needed in that Lakers locker room right now. All right, we kind of have an idea who all the contenders are. We could talk about Celtics, Bucks, Sixers, Wolves, Thunder, Nuggets, Clippers, and all those teams. We kind of have an idea for both East and West where they are. So who's the pretender, Andrew? Who is the pretender? And then we can get out of here.
Phoenix Suns.
Phoenix Suns are your pretender.
Hell yeah, the Phoenix Suns are pretenders. I mean, didn't Vegas have them like number one in the
I think they
preseason?
did. Yeah, they did have the number one.
Come on, man. Those guys never had a chance to win a championship. You could clip this because you won't be able to bring it back later to aggregate me or whatever they do on the internet these days. That team is not a contender. You don't just throw guys together who have the same style of play and think you could win a championship in the first year, you know? And then you got the health concerns on top of that. But even if they stay healthy, that team is not winning a championship. In full health, do they have any chance at all to beat the Denver Nuggets?
No, they don't.
Yeah, no way.
They
I want to see them. I would love to see them versus OKC in full health. I hope they stay healthy the rest of the season.
Ooh, get the Kevin Durant. Okay. Oh my God. Get the bad blood boiling. Okay.
Get SGA to take them out. That's what I want to see. That'd be fun. You got to admit that'd be fun.
Andrew wants to see the smoke.
Pretenders. Who do you have as pretenders, Alex?
Suns are a good choice, man. Suns are a really good choice.
Well, because they are the pretenders, but go ahead.
They are. I'm going to go with, man.
Oh, he can't
go
go
with
with
the 76ers, man.
I was about to say he can't go with the Bucks anymore after last night.
Nah, I'm not going to go with the Bucks. I think the 76ers are pretenders in all honesty. I like Maxey. I like Embiid. They need another piece, but it's Embiid, man. It's Embiid that needs to get over the hump. I mean, he's injured right now. I don't know. I think they're a really good team. I like them as a duo. I think they're so dynamic. I think Embiid's playing at a whole other level. But there's just something about that roster where I look at it, I'm like, there's something more that it needs. Is it Siakam? Is it a Jeremy Grant? I feel like that's one of the two moves that is needed for that team to really take it to another level. But when I look at what they could be, like I could think of them being a team that could beat the Bucks. I don't really see them, even though they did beat the Celtics earlier this year. I don't see them being the Celtics, a fully healthy Celtics team. I think they just have Joel Embiid's number. I feel like you need somebody else they can go to, and I think it's still too early in Maxey's like stardom, like being like one of the two dogs to lead a team. I still think it's too early in his career to do that. I think if it was like next season, I could be a little more bought in on the Sixers being that type of team, but I think they're a little bit more pretenders to me right now.
Hypothetically, what would you want to see more? Nick Nurse coach the Sixers team with James Harden, or Wemby play at OKC instead of Chet?
I'm trying to repeat that one more time.
It's so random. I don't know how
Yeah.
I get this off my head. Would you rather see Nick Nurse coach a James Harden team of the Sixers last year, or Wemby play for OKC instead of Chet?
Wow, these are good. These are good questions. I don't think Nick Nurse would have gotten a lot out of James Harden. So I guess
I think Nick Nurse has been fantastic this season.
I think he's fantastic. I think you need players that will buy into Nick Nurse and who are not. I think James Harden is a little bit more selfish than he is team bought in at times. Like Tyler's doing a great job having him focused for right now, but we've seen this way too many times. Go to a new team, James Harden's focused and all bought in, and next thing you know, it just flips the script. Say, no, I don't like the situation anymore. I'm going to lean more towards I like to have seen Wemby and OKC.
I wonder how that team would have looked, right? I wonder how that team would have looked with Wemby. Like, I love Chet. Obviously, the Chet thing has worked out fantastic, and I thought he should have been the #1 pick in that draft, even though Paulo is playing great as well right now. But I've always been really high on Chet. But it would have been interesting to see Wemby in a winning construct and see like if their record would be any different. It'd be really interesting.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with that last one, and then we got. I know you gotta get out of here. Who would you rather have? Dennis Schroeder, D'Angelo Russell.
Which team?
In the vacuum.
Man, that's tough. Internationally, Dennis Schroeder. In the NBA, D'Angelo Russell.
Ooh, okay.
FIBA Schroeder's, he is tough, man.
Yeah. I think I'm going with Schroeder all day over D'Angelo Russell. No, it doesn't matter the play style.
You know what I like about D'Angelo Russell? You need guys that could just get a shot up, a clean look whenever they want. And that's what's
he can do that.
And that's what the Lakers lacking a little bit right now. He's been injured, I think like he's undervalued in that way. Like everything's helter-skelter. We're not really running any offense. Like just get a clean look up. He could do that. And there's lots of players that can't do that at the level of D'Angelo Russell in the NBA.
I like Schroeder just because I think he's been like, I like his playmaking. I like how he can get guys.
Like they're different. They're more of a point
very
guard.
Different. Yeah, they're very different. But I feel like they're at that same like level where it's like, all right, who do I want Schroeder on this team or do I want D'Lo on? Like, what do I need? I feel like they're at that same level of like quality.
Where does Spencer fit in with those two? Spencer Dinwiddie.
I'd take. Oh God.
It's a good one. No, it's a good. It's a good.
Give me Dennis Schroeder all over both of those guys. I think I'm going Schroeder, D'Lo, and then Spencer Dinwiddie. That is my order right there.
Even prime Spence when he was playing good with the Nets, like he's tough. I thought he was pretty tough.
He was pretty tough, but it was like,
yeah,
I'm going with Schroeder, man. That's what I'm going with.
All right,
but Andrew, great show as always. Appreciate NBA Nation for tuning another episode of the NBA Report. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure to like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. All right, we're on every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We had to go a little bit earlier today, so thank you all for tuning in. All right, make sure to follow us on all of our social media platforms. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, find us anywhere you want. And for Andrew and myself, you see the handles. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram as well, using those @. And yeah, thank you again for tuning in. Make sure to support our sponsor, Prize Picks. Use that promo code NBAR to get up to a $100 match. We'll catch you next week. Tune in. We out.